This is Otaku No Video, episode 29, The Gundam Who Leapt Through Casshern, Green vs. Red. So, let's go into what anime we've been watching. You want to start off?
Let's say yes.
Yes.
Okay. This week has been rather interesting. First off, I watched Lupin III, Green vs. Red.
Ah, yes.
In fact, go ahead.
I've seen that as well, and I was rather impressed.
Yeah, I started watching it right after the podcast last time.
Ah.
It was definitely, it's a quality production.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that it brings a lot up in the short amount of time.
True, yeah.
And it talks about a lot of stuff. And I don't think it's that Lupin fan exclusive.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it means, I think, the context of having been with Lupin for 30 or more episodes could give you more context and more of an idea and more of an understanding, really, of all the characters and things like that. But I don't know that it's really needed.
Okay. I mean, just to interrupt for a second, I thought the main problem I had is that if you didn't know who Goemon was or who Fujiko was, or even who Jigen was, I don't know if they would have made those characters would have made any sense.
Yeah, that's true. And maybe it's just because when I hear about a show, I usually just get the gist of it, and then if I'm really interested, I watch it or I move on. So
yeah.
It's just the collection of information that,
true.
I haven't seen that show, but I know that this happens.
Right.
And things like that. But I didn't think you needed to know too much about Lupin III to really appreciate it. Yeah. And at the very least, it has some very fun animation moments and things like that.
Particularly one very fun animation moment.
Yeah, it has I don't even know how to describe it. It's like manga animation, really weird black and white stuff at one point.
It's like, basically, they go back to like the original Monkey Punch black and white manga art style, which is very different from the much cleaner version that you'll see in like the films and such. And it definitely looks, and it's brief, but it looks very, very distinctive and interesting and fun. Yeah, it'd actually be fun if they just did a new OVA series, like 3 episodes just in that style. Yeah, I don't know how long I could watch that, to be honest. Oh, yeah. What did you think about the story overall, as in, like, the base plot?
In terms of...
Well, like, just the central heist plot line, all that stuff. Without getting into too much detail about what was going on, but, like, just the raw plot and what was going on. I mean, did you think that was the right way to tell the story? I think it did it perfectly well in terms of, I assume we're talking about the minor issue that brings everything together at the beginning. Right, yeah. Okay, yeah. It's perfect Lupin III fashion, actually. Mm-hmm. It's, the show is sort of loopy. Yeah. That's just how it is, and it's sort of aimed at kids, sort of not aimed at kids. It's, the sort of the candy James Bond of Japan. Yeah. I was going to mention James Bond. It's like, no, but yeah, exactly, candy James Bond. Yeah, and so that's sort of how it is, and it makes sense. I personally am not a big person on, well, I guess we can talk about how the narrative structure would have, brought out details better or something like that, but as it stands, I don't think it did a poor job with that. I think it's fairly well written. It's got a lot of stuff in there, but I think the real problem that I have with it is that it doesn't do much of a discussion, and we talked about this with, really I don't feel like there's a drive or a real reason that Lupin needs to be Lupin, which is the real issue here is identity, and I don't think it makes a very good, can't even think of the word, a reason. It's interesting because it raises this question of identity and what is the Lupin III personality? What is that identity? What who is Lupin III? Can someone just pretend to be Lupin III and then become him and all that kind of stuff? And then I think they sort of imply this question of, is Lupin III really Lupin III, or just someone play acting that in a sense? Kind of the Cary Grant idea. I'm going to be like this person, and that will be me. And they, as you say, they never really address that. Although I do feel like the movie is intended to just sort of introduce these concepts, introduce these questions, and just then move on. I don't think it's trying to answer the questions. Although I certainly would have liked to see some more answers.
Yeah, I mean there. Plenty of other directors don't.
Yeah.
So.
Sorry.
Yeah, and plenty of other people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice that things actually intelligently fall into place for once, because there are too many cases where things just feel like, okay. You honestly think you asked that question that way?
Well, and like we also talked, I mean, it's certainly an ambitious movie in terms of overall plot structure and how much goes on. And so I think the fact that it's not a complete confusing mess is a huge gold star to everyone involved in and of itself.
Yeah, and the people that got to do the little English that is in the film. Yeah. Oh, just hats off. Especially the Asian guy who's trying to speak English. Which, I was looking for the subtitles when he was talking, because the accent was just, oh.
Yeah.
That's about all we can say. But yeah, great. Check it out. See it for free, or import it and still download the fan sub and watch it in English.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not bad at all.
Yeah.
I also got the chance to read another 2 chapters of The World Is Mine, which is still showing no real sign of... I don't know why this is considered like this classic big thing.
Okay.
And I continually see manga just not doing it for me, which is weird. Where, I mean, I'll watch it or I'll read it, and I can just buzz right through the thing, and it's fairly entertaining, but it's not the same sort of drama that I get out of, even a novel.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But it's still fun to read to learn what happens, but ultimately I don't know that I'm willing to spend large sums of money on it.
Yeah, fair enough.
But it's still, World Is Mine has pretty much not moved.
Okay, so, I mean, would you say you have sort of same opinion you'd had before?
Yeah, it hasn't solidified at all into anything really, so it's, I don't know how to describe it. It's been very, not blah, but we know where it's going, but I need more than, well, as some people call this lazy writing, which is just not fully explaining yourself. Yeah, I need more than cryptic one-liners.
Yeah.
And actions, it's like, okay, that happened again.
Mm-hmm.
Great. But yeah,